It's David Will's guitar. So today I've got a friend of mine's Aria acoustic guitar. This is an Aria AW 75. Japanese made guitar, somewhere around the 80s and 90s, around that era. Needs some work, so I played this at a friend's house. Just needed a few little things tweaked here and there. The action's about 7.5 64ths off of the 12th, so if we can bring that down to about 6 64ths of an inch and then 4 64ths on the high E side, we can get this a little bit better playing condition. It hasn't been cleaned in a while. The fretboard needs to be cleaned and oiled. The frets need to be polished. Just need a few things done. So that's what he asked me to do. I can show you. So we can take a look at what this looks like. So if I set this here, you can see that under here, let's see if I can zoom in. You can see it's like really closer to 7. Actually, yeah, it's higher than I thought. So let me pull it back a little bit. Or can you? See if it'll focus here. Yeah, it's not really good, but so yeah, 7 there. Anyway, just need some love, need some truss rod adjustments. That'll get this guitar in a better playing condition. I tried to play some songs on it today. It's a little harder than it needs to be. We can get this guitar in a better shape. So hopefully I can run through some of those things, show you how to do it, and we can get back to a playing condition that's a little bit better, a little bit easier. So more to come. Okay, so one thing I noted is that I took my Sumac guitar straight edge, and I see we're on the short scale length here, and this fits. So this has got to be like either a 24.75 inch scale length or 25. It's shorter than your standard, so it's a little smaller, which is fine. That's no problem. The neck is almost dead straight, so it is like very, very straight. I put the relief gauge here, and it's like we have like a 1/10,000th of an inch of relief here. It's like almost dead straight here. What's measuring here on the gauge. So we're gonna take a look at it. I would say we need a little more relief, but the strings are so high, so I'm actually gonna adjust the tension. So we're gonna see how that plays. I need to make sure that these strings are a little closer to the fretboard. There's really no room to sand the bridge here. The bridge is like so near the board of the bridge here that this bridge saddle like adjustment here is just going to be like, it looks like it's probably been filed and reset, but the only other thing we can do is adjust the action to lower the distance. So if we have to back bow it a little bit, that'll be fine as long as the frets don't fret out. So that is what we're going to try to do. There's really nothing we can do other than that, other than reset the neck, and I'm not going to do that. So we're going to see what magic we can do with just adjusting the truss rod. Hopefully there's some wiggle room. If not, then we are in a little bit of trouble. But other than that, we should be good to go. So I'm going to give that a test, and I will see what it looks like after we adjust it. So here we go. Okay, so we got the string spreaders on. They're there to separate the strings, kind of pull them apart. I've loosened the strings, and as you can see, this fretboard hasn't been cleaned in a long time. You see all those like ovular shapes on the frets. That's all just like dirty old finger grease and everything. This guitar like is in greatly need of a cleaning and polish. I adjusted the truss rod a little bit, and upon moving it just even a tiny bit with like a little bit of elbow grease, I can feel that it has never been adjusted in quite a while. It kind of like made a crack sound, which is typical when you first, and like I said, I gave it just a little bit of like elbow grease to kind of move it into position. So we're gonna check and see what that looks like. When the neck is adjusted, I mean, I measured it at -10/64, so the neck is in a back bow at this point. So it needs to be cleaned. I'm gonna polish the frets, and then we should hopefully be able to string it up and then like see where we're at. So yeah, I'll try to get even closer. You can see that like there's just like a lot of nasty finger juice there that just needs to be cleaned up. So we'll get it taken care of. It should be pretty easy to take care of. So we'll be back when that's finished. Okay, so before I continue, I just wanted to show some of the products I like to use. I like this Dunlop 65. This is the guitar cleaner. This is just general guitar cleaner. This will be good to just clean up the majority of the guitar. Then I'm going to go over the fretboard specifically with this fretboard cleaner and prep. I like this stuff. It gets the fretboard nice and clean. That'll erase all that finger gunk. After that, we'll go ahead and polish the frets. I'm going to go ahead and use this Music Nomad Freen. This is a pretty good finger polish. You can use some of the other stuff you see on the market. This is like kind of up to your preference. There's a lot of good products out there. You just need to be able to, shine those frets up a little bit, and it'll come out pretty good. So I'm going to do those three things, and then we'll see. So I'm just going to go ahead and let the video play, and I'll probably fast forward through this when I do it. Probably play it in like, turbo speed, 3 times the speed, and we'll see what it looks like. So here we go. Actually, I need to go get some paper towels. There really is nothing better than playing like a nicely polished, cleaned guitar. I've always enjoyed playing like a nice, clean guitar that feels like it was paid attention to, you know what I mean? Get a little attention to it, makes it feel like it was meant to be used as the tool that it was intended to be. And this is a nice guitar. I mean, this was a Japanese made guitar at the time in the 80s, and it was probably cheaper at the time. I mean, who knows? I mean, you hear about the differences of China-made quality and Chinese, Indonesia, all those major areas, Korea, etc. And it doesn't take much. I mean, I'm just wiping this down. This is like, if you ever smell this cleaner here, it smells like Windex, and I have a feeling that's the majority of what it is just some like Windex-based or Windex similar cleaner. And this guitar has had a lot of love. I mean, this is my friend's first guitar. It was actually his sister's. My sister gave it to him because she quit guitar and he continued to play. And he plays from time to time. And he's not like a real like serious like guitar player. Like he's like not trying to be the next guitar star, acoustic guitar person. But it's just nice to get, like, you can already see some of this gunk. I'm actually gonna clean the headstock first a little bit. And there's like chips taken out. This is clearly like fallen down. This has been used, and I appreciate a guitar that's been used because like that means it was used to make music, you know what I mean? So it's got some character, and that, you always appreciate a guitar that's been used. A lot of people are like, oh, it's got a scratch, I can't use this guitar anymore. Like, no, guitars were meant to be played, man. Get out there and play. So I've gone over with this bass cleaner, just to clean the body. Like, again, there's a lot of dings and scratches and whatnot. Trying to see if I can get, some of the stuff is coming up. I need to go over it a little bit better. So, get this cleaned up here. Yeah, looking much, much better. Much, much cleaner. I'm not going to try to make it perfect because I'm doing this for free. This is just for the fun of cleaning a guitar. Once you start cleaning and working on guitars, you realize it's kind of fun. I enjoy it. It's methodical work. I don't know. I love the idea of taking something from a non-functional order to a more functional, clean order. Like if you look at this fretboard, I don't know if this is coming through on video, but this is like the clean side, right? The side that's been lovingly attended versus this side. You can see this is all dirty, and like if you look at that grease, that's just half the fretboard, and I barely gave it a wipe. This has been through a ton of practice. It just looks so much better already, just getting this gunk out. Now I could take a razor blade and score it, like, kind of scrape the fretboard for a bigger polish. I'm not trying to do that. That's not here or there. Like, we don't need to get quite that involved, but like, look at that, 15 years of gunk and grime, and I barely have given it any juice as far as like really trying to get it clean. I probably have to get more paper towels. This is pretty gross. So, yeah. It's, you know, it's methodical. If you ever watch some of those other guitar YouTubers that do a lot of the fretwork, you can see, you know, I don't know, the things they've done, and I'm not doing anything too different. They're putting probably a lot more work in because this is for a professional grade instrument or someone who's paying. And again, you know, I'm not getting paid for this. This is just for the love of cleaning the guitar. And it's fun, man. You know, getting your guitar nice and polished, like I said, it's nice. It's methodical. It's relaxing. I'm just doing a job. And again, I could scrape it, but I don't think I need to do that. It is pretty gross. Yeah, you can probably see that. That's disgusting. That is like years of gunk and build up in grease. I'm actually gonna clean the other side because this just needs a little more cleaning to get that cleaned up. When I go over it with the oil, it's gonna shine up even nicer. But I'm gonna wait till I polish the frets to do that. And yeah, we'll get that all nice and cleaned up. Like even the nut, my God, just foul. It's just, you know, but that's what happens when you have a guitar that's been played for years. This has been through 2 students and different practicings and different people trying to, you know, learn how to play guitar, and that's kind of how these things were meant to be. And it's, you know, it really shows that, like, as much as a guitar is an instrument, it can become part of, you know, an experience. And maybe that's too poetic, maybe that's too on the nose, but it's nice. That's already looking a lot better, right? I don't see the little ovular rings that form when you see a gross guitar. That's just been, I mean, I'm still pulling up so much grease. This is just absolutely disgusting. But okay, it's fine. It's looking much better. When I touch it, I don't feel those spots as much. And we're getting to a place where it's just in much better condition at this point. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and polish it. Now, usually you could use a microfiber cloth. I'm not going to put that much attention into this because I just don't want to, and I don't need to. I'm loosening this a little bit because the frets are, like, the strings are trying to poke up here on the side of the frets. But I don't think it'll be a big deal. We're just going to give this a nice, like, little rough polish. It doesn't have to be good. I almost want to get out micro mesh pads because these have not been cleaned. They like look a little green/grainy. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. This freen would do fine, but the oxidation on these frets, because they are, I believe, nickel silver frets or something similar, they just need a little bit of love. So micro mesh pads are a little bit nicer. They actually, you know, you're sanding a little bit of the fret, but, you know, we're using such a high grit here that we don't have to worry. I'm going to start with like a 3600. So that's this pad here. And there's a cool little, if you buy micro mesh pads, there's a cool little guide here that tells you the grit of the fret you're using, or the grit of the micro mesh pad. So this will tell you exactly what you need. So we're going to use 3600. We're going to use this little protective barrier, and we're going to go over it. So the next thing to do is figure out, oh, perfect. So I just happened to guess the right one. This is a more narrow fret. It's not as wide, and this fits really nicely on the fret. So I can just put this on, hopefully, yep, and then actually I got to hold it down because the strings are trying to pull it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm already seeing the fret like starting to shine up on using this. Like I can see the grit and grime come off as I'm polishing this fret. So I'm going to polish it with this little micro mesh pad first, and yeah, that's wild. Like just years of finger grease and gunk are coming out on these frets. This oxidation. So I'll do half of it and then kind of get like a little closer. Like this one is now silver, and there's still a little bit of gunk here. Yeah. Yeah. That's so much better though. Yeah, Yeah, I can't really feel it. I mean, I could go a little more. I probably should have started with a finer grit, or a rougher grit, because this is, I can still see like imperfections in the fret where just the oxidation has happened. But again, we're not trying to get this perfect. We're just trying to get it in a better state. Again, yeah, like we're trying to get it to a place where someone can love it again, you know, and make it even better. But yeah, we're gonna get there pretty quickly. This is not too hard to do. So what do you guys think? I mean, when you're working on guitars or playing guitars, do you ever play guitar and like, you ever think to yourself, man, if this was only a little cleaner, I would like it more? Or I don't know if you've ever had that thought. Do you just play guitars and you're like, I don't care. I'm such a good player, I could play any guitar and make it sound amazing. There's plenty of people on the planet that are just like that. So, and I'll get a zoom. I'll pick the camera up and get it closer. Like you can see that these oxidized frets versus these non-oxidized frets are already in much better shape. I will have to clean the fretboard again because all this residue and runoff, or like the particulate that comes off from buffing these out, is going to be substantial, but it's going to be much better. Like I can already see it here. These already look so much nicer. Like these are now shiny, whereas previously they're just yellow. And that's just a product of playing a guitar and letting it sit. I mean, even if you didn't play it, which this guitar got initial play probably in the 90s, probably a lot more in the 90s, and then probably not a lot of play for a long time after that. But you know, it oxidizes. This guitar lived in Florida, which is very humid, so you're going to get a lot of oxidation, a lot of water and residual moisture is going to be on those guitars, and that ruins frets. That's just going to, or ruin all metal. It doesn't have to just be frets. And it's so interesting. Like we're already in such much better shape here. It's crazy what just a little tiny. I mean, these micro mesh pads. These are like less than. I think they're $10 or less, or maybe $12 or less on Amazon. Like it really doesn't take a lot of money to just make a guitar look, sound, and play so much better. So yeah, I don't know. These are easy things that anyone can do. Yeah, I can already run my fingernail across it and they feel much smoother. Like I run it across this gritty, nasty, oxidized fret, and we're just in such better shape at this point. Like it's like night and day. And I think that's kind of the important part of guitar repair, maintenance. You know, when you get something that you just love to play, you just want to play it all the time. You know, you think about it. I know I do. You know, like when I started playing guitar, I played a Squier Bullet, and that guitar was so poorly set up and so poorly made. I'd be embarrassed if I was Fender / Squier. I would just be embarrassed to sell that guitar. Like it was so bad. It's imperceptibly bad. Like it's just gross. It's a terrible guitar. It does not make me want to play guitar. And I think Fender has probably learned a little bit from that experience that, like, you know, you can't expect people just to play guitar and love it initially. You've got to give them a good instrument that makes them want to play. And I think they've upped their game, especially with, like, you know, a lot of cheaper foreign overseas models that have come out and shown the world, like, hey, you know, you can have a great guitar at a cheaper price. Now, I'm not going to say that every Chinese guitar is the best ever compared to like a Fender counterpart or whatever at a high end, but they are really good. And in fact, you know, I don't really even have any super expensive guitars like I used to. The most expensive guitar I have now is probably, I think I have a McCarty Thinline S2, and that runs new. They're like around $2,000, maybe a little more. And I like that guitar a lot, but I feel like if you have a little know-how and a little bit of effort, you can have a great playing instrument that's going to get you exactly where you need to be for a lot less money. Now, granted, you have to spend a lot of money in tools that you might not want to spend. And by a lot of money, I mean, oh, I don't know. Depends. For what I'm doing here, it's not going to be a lot, but if you had to do like a full setup on a guitar, it's going to cost you a lot more money. And, you know, to each their own if you want to do that. I've done that because I would rather have an instrument that I put love and work into than what was sold to me by Fender. The upsell cost of a quality instrument, like let's think, I mean, when I first bought like a super expensive guitar, I bought a Sir, and that was a phenomenal instrument. I mean, there's no issue with any Sir I've ever played. They're fantastic instruments, but for me something felt, I wouldn't say stale. They sound good, they play good, but I feel like I know that I'm paying for labor. I'm paying for someone who lovingly set up and created that instrument. And that's fine, but you know, I wanted to teach myself those same skills to think like, well, what if I just did this myself? Could I just do this myself? Could I take an instrument that was made and then make it better? And the answer is you can, you know, if you're willing to do that and have the patience to do so. And I think that kind of speaks volumes, you know, like why not just do the work yourself and get the instrument you want? I mean, isn't that, you know, you think about a lot of instruments, a lot of people, especially with electric guitar, they'll pick up a guitar, they'll play it, they'll love it, and then some people are like, well, you know, if only the pickup sounded a little different, if only, you know, the action was slightly lower, if only, you know, there's a lot of if-onlys, if only the neck contour was a little bit better for my hand access. You know, we always think about, well, what's the next guitar to buy? Well, I don't want to keep buying guitars, you know, I just don't want to do it. I want to have a guitar that I put work into, that I made the way I want it to. Now, granted, I'm not skilled enough to just make a guitar perfectly in a way that I want. Like, I can't build an acoustic. I'm not quite that talented. But I can at least, like, polish, clean, and set up a guitar well enough that, you know, I can get it where I want. So, yeah, there's that. I said that this good was 3,600. This is actually 1,500 grit sandpaper, so still pretty fine, right? When you sand a guitar body, you usually don't go past like 800 grit, especially if you're going to stain it, because you want the stain to be able to get into those porous recesses of the guitar. So this is still pretty fine. I think if you were going to like turbo polish a guitar, maybe I'll go over just some final passovers with like 2,000 or something higher. But I used something pretty abrasive, and I'm glad I did, because I still see imperfections in the fret after sanding it. So those are things to consider. But I like doing this, you know. Like I said, it's something that's kind of fun and therapeutic in a way. I don't even care, you know, what music's being played on this guitar, so long as the music's being made. Music's being made, that's the most important part. You know, you always see guitar videos and comments like, well, if you're not just the best player, then what are you even doing? Well, you know, that's just not reality. Not everyone starts off being the most talented guitar player. Everyone has to start somewhere, and some part of me thinks the learning process is kind of exciting. You know, you don't know where to go. You think about, there's so many guitar players, even in the 90s, that they didn't know what they were doing. They were just started playing, and you know, they might have found some chords and stuff, but they didn't have any like real music theory. And while I think all that helps, they just wanted to play. And I think that's the most important. Wanting to play and getting out there and trying to use this instrument in a way that makes you feel good is the most important. You know, you want to use your instrument to make music that you want to make. And if you sit there and play long enough, you're going to find those things that make you feel that way. And that's what I think guitar playing really is. Okay. So we're like halfway done, and hopefully this will show up on the camera, but we can go here. So here's some frets. Let me see if I can. So I don't know how well you can see those frets. I'm trying not to like overshadow. Let's see if I can zoom in. So you see those frets, right? They're still kind of dull. And then if we go over here, granted the light's a little better, but they're just much shinier. So those are shinier frets. those frets are just slightly more dull because they haven't been polished. And that's what we're working with, you know. Even after, and then when I finally get like an actual polish done on them, I'm gonna use that polishing compound to get them clean, even a little more clean. It's gonna look even better. So right now there's a noticeable difference visually, but when I get the compound on, it's going to be like night and day. So we will do that. So again, yeah, we're just finishing. These don't need a ton of passes, but yeah, they're getting much cleaner, much cleaner. Looking so much better. It's funny, this guitar wasn't like heavily played, but I can see some worn spots of songs that were played on this guitar. Like there's some wear here on this 3rd fret, probably from fretting a D chord here because it's right there on that B string right here. So yeah, there's definitely some wear. This guitar has been used. That's nice. That's what you want to see, right? Someone learned how to play guitar. Who knows what they're doing now? I know it's my friend, so he's an IT person, so clearly didn't make a career in music. But you know, enjoying music doesn't mean you have to be a professional. Most of us aren't in the traditional sense of you're not gigging every day. You might think to yourself, well, I'm a professional guitar player. What are you saying, Will? What do you even mean? Okay, so yeah, we've gone over with a pretty high, well, pretty like coarse grain. 1500 is not that coarse, to be honest. I'm gonna go over. I kind of want to find something in between. This is 36. This is the 3600. I actually started with 15, and I'm glad I did. So we're going to go over again. We're just gonna give it a nice rough polish. So it doesn't need much. We just want to kind of give it a nice little final. And again, if I was doing this correctly in a way where I was getting paid, I would step up, you know, per grit, maybe 300 grit. So I'd go from like 15 to 1800, 2100 to 24 or something like that. I don't know. I would step up more gradually if I was getting paid, but I'm not getting paid. And this is fine for what this guitar is going to be. So it doesn't need much more than that. And I know you hear that clicking. It is rocking a little bit. It's sitting on a mouse pad, which I generally like because it's just easy to use. And these fret guards are really nice. I don't mar the fretboard while I'm doing this. And yeah, it's just much better. We're getting there, folks. Slowly but surely. Anyway, like I said, my first guitar was a Squier Sonic, and it was embarrassingly bad. I knew nothing about guitars. I knew nothing about setups. I didn't know anything about pickups. I knew if I moved the pickup selector, it probably selected ones from top to bottom or front to back or whatever. You know, I didn't know. And I don't think that's the most optimal guitar experience. I think you don't need to put the most fancy guitar in a guitar player's hands to, you know, a beginner to like really get the experience, a good experience with the guitar. But like, honestly, like the frets need to be like not crap, and it's already going to be hard enough to fret for a new guitar player. So the action, I think, is generally the most important part. Because as a starter, you just want to play a guitar that plays well. You know, it doesn't have to play great, but it needs to play well. Like when you're first learning to fret bar chords, you don't want to have to struggle. Struggle is like the opposite of what makes a guitar worth playing. Like, who's going to want to learn to play guitar when it feels like crap? And that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid that in the future. Who knows who will play this guitar later in life, you know? Maybe someone has a kid, or maybe this gets passed down to someone else. This guitar is a good guitar. I mean, it sounds awesome. It's a Japanese-made guitar. from Aria, and the build quality is pretty good. It sounds great. It's got a solid Sitka spruce top, and I want to say it's laminate rosewood back and sides, and those are fine. You know, it doesn't have to be the most expensive instrument. It just needs to play well, and I don't think that's a big ask. All right, so we've got that cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and rip this in two. We're going to give it one final cleaning. I've got a bunch of fret residue from sanding those all off. And we will clean this up just a little bit. And already we are in much better shape. Much better shape. It's really between the frets, like, oh man, getting the gunk off of between the frets, that is really quite tough. But we're getting there, folks. We're doing it. We're doing it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Look at all that. That is all fret residue from sanding it very gently. And yeah, I'm doing that because I'm now going to apply the polish. I don't want to put the polish on that powdered fret residue. And look, I'm moving this guitar. I'm giving it some grease. All right. So next thing to do, let's take that freen. Where did I put it? Let me know in the comments. Oh, did I put it back? I probably put it back. All right, let's go get it. Let's go pick that up. I did. I put it back. So this stuff works best with a micro mesh, like a microfiber cloth. Microfiber has this little, and if you look under a microscope, you'll see that it looks kind of like Velcro. It has little hoops or hooks to kind of pick up things that a normal cloth wouldn't pick up in the way that it's made. Pretty neat. Pretty neat what technology can do. Am I right? Probably not. Okay. Yep, that's the one. Oh, that's a little... Is it this one? Yep, that's the one. Okay, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of this to the end of this pad and just wipe this on and kind of buff this out. And then do it again. Ooh, that's a lot of gunk. You can already see that's what it pulls off. Yeah, it gets pretty gross, but they are looking much shinier. So the ones I've already done already look way better than the other two. So I can do about 2 frets per little squeeze. I'm using maybe the size of a pea, maybe something slightly smaller as far as like how polished I'm getting here. So you don't need much per fret. You just need a very tiny amount. Now there are some other compounds. There's like a McGuire's auto body compound that I like to use. So it comes in like a giant like jug. I don't know if jug is the right word, but it comes in like a bigger portion. And that's okay. You know, you can use that too. I like that. It works really well. I'm just doing this because this is convenient and easy. I would buy more of this stuff, but it happens to be more expensive, and I think the auto body polish is just as good. I just don't want to get it out because I'm lazy, and I have some of this stuff, so I'm going to use it. So again, like 2 frets on each side. Like we're barely through any of this, and it's already looking phenomenally better. It's looking so much better. It's exciting. It's exciting. So we're going to be here. We're on next set of frets here. Go to the next one. So again, if I was getting paid to do this, I would use a buffing wheel on a Dremel tool because it's just easier and it cleans it so much nicer. But I don't need to do that because I'm not getting paid. And that's okay. It's okay to not get paid from every bit of work you ever do. Sometimes when you have a friend, do something nice for your friends, guys. Get out there and make your friend happy. So you know what, friend? I know you don't play instruments very often, but like, you know, you deserve nice things in life. Who doesn't? Don't you want to make the world a better place for other people? What if people felt the same way about you? Helping your community, talking about community in a guitar-related YouTube video about how people should act. Yeah, that's what I'm about. Don't quote me. That's neither here nor there. It's not terribly important. But, you know, we try to do things nice for the people we care about. And I think it's a good thing. All right, so I don't generally apply directly to the fret, but it's not going to hurt. Just apply it right here. And go to town with the wiping. This is guitar work and guitar therapy. Tell me what's important to you. Do you think it's important to take care of your friends? But let me ask you this question. If you had a new guitar, a brand new guitar, say you were a beginner again, which maybe some of you are, some of you aren't. If you were a beginner, what are the most important things you think a beginner guitar should have? That's a good question, right? What do you think are the non-negotiables of someone starting guitar and what that guitar should feel like? You know, if you wanted to give someone a good example of a guitar that felt good to play, that would keep them interested in guitar and, you know, get over the hump of learning what is a very, you know, any instrument is not easy. But if you were going to give them the opportunity to learn, wouldn't you want to put your best foot forward? What would that look like? Would you give them a Squire Bullet, which they don't even make anymore, from my understanding? Or would you give them something else? Would you tell them like, oh man, you can't get out? You shouldn't even pick up a guitar if it's not a Gibson. Would you tell them that? Because that seems like a pretty heavy investment for someone starting. I wouldn't do that. Because who knows if you're going to like it? Like, what if you play guitar every day, you practice all the time, and even if your instrument's quality, you don't like it? Now that very well could happen. In fact, a lot of people don't stick with guitar. Most people do not. You know, how would you approach that situation? I think, in my opinion, things that Sire are doing, a lot of Epiphones, Fender I'm not so familiar with. I think certainly any Fender branded, I don't know about the Indonesian ones, but certainly most Fender branded things are pretty good. They're not perfect. I don't know. Those will be pretty decent for the most part. For the most part. But my non-negotiables would be good fretwork and a low action. Everything else, when people are like, oh, the sound, I don't care about sound. Especially if you're a new player. Sound is like probably the last thing you're going to really care about. I mean, you're going to care about it because you want to make music, but ultimately when you're learning, you're probably not making the sounds you want to make anyway. You've got to kind of work up to it. And it doesn't take a long time before you start getting sounds that you want to hear. And, you know, I think playability tends to be a more important factor as far as guitar playing goes. So those are the things that I would say. I got some of that fretboard, that fret polish there on the fretboard. So I will say, the one thing about this stuff, do not let it dry on your fretboard. It is so hard to remove once you get it on there and you let it dry. It's just a pain in the butt to get off. You have to like literally scrape the hell out of it. Don't do that. So I like to make sure that I wipe all of it off the fretboard after I use it. Let's see, where did I finish? Okay, here. It's funny because like I'm not paying very close attention to which frets I'm doing. I can just look and see which ones have been polished because they're just much more shiny. And they look a ton better. Just a ton. And, you know, that's how we do it. Alright. And you can see all this crap that I'm pulling off. Now, most of this is just either finger junk that has been still there, even though it looks much, much better, and much shinier. Yeah, much, much better. So, but this freen stuff also, I don't know if they like make it turn black after you buff it out, like as kind of like a way to be like, oh, look what you're doing. I wouldn't be surprised if an abrasive rubbing makes it shinier. Now I say that I knew which frets had been polished and which hadn't, but now I've kind of lost it because the lighting isn't as good. So I need to go back and look. Did I do this one? No, I did it now. I can't remember if I did this one either. Again, if I was getting paid, which I'm not, I would spend much more time making absolutely sure that these frets were perfect. But this is just for a friend. This is going to be very good for what they have. It's so much better than what it was that I don't think there's going to be any complaints. I think there's just these last two to do, and then I'm going to be in good shape. Go ahead and, if you want to comment, tell me what the very first guitar you had was, and did you love it? Do you still even have it? I don't have my first guitar. I gave it away. You know why I gave it away? Because I was hoping someone else could love it and play it and maybe make something out of it. Maybe they could find a guitar that they loved, that they would want to play, and maybe pick up guitar. In fact, I gave it to a person at work that I work with even now. And I didn't follow up with him. I don't think it's important to be pushy. If he wants to play guitar, he will. But it's out there. It doesn't live on a shelf. Because if it's here, I have much better guitars than that at this point. Things that I've worked on myself or things that I purchased. And either way, that could be someone else's, hobby, life, love, whatever they want to do with that guitar is up to them at this point. And maybe they'll do something with it that's more than what I would do, which is absolutely nothing. I wouldn't play it, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. Okay. All right, so I've gone over this pretty heavily. I'm going to go over it again with the fretboard polish, with a fretboard cleaner, because I've wiped it down quite a bit, and now I just want to get it really clean. Already, we are looking so much better. So much better. And look, I'm coming off here. Okay. Bring it back, folks. The guitar is rocking in more ways than just playing. It's rocking off the mouse pad here that I use. So, but already we are in a much better shape. Okay, I could use a fretboard rocker. I didn't hear any rocking issues. Like I didn't hear any issues of fret buzz or anything like that. Like I said, the frets were so high, I don't think I needed to do that. I think it was fine. The fret edges feel fine. I don't feel any sharp edges when I was playing it. There might be some slightly sharp edges, but nothing that I realized like that. That's not my favorite. Again, if I were to put more time into it, I would do those things, but it's so minimal, I don't think anyone will notice. I almost want to do it. Do I want to do it? All right, let's do it. Let's round over these fret edges just a touch, just to say we did it, just to make it nice. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use a StewMac fret file. It's rounded on one end, and then it's flat on the other. So I'm going to use the rounded end, and I'm going to kind of curve around like that. So like that, and then that's gonna round over that edge, and it's like it literally just one pass is gonna do it. I say one pass, but like given the camera angle, I want you to be able to see it. So yeah. So I caught a little bit of the fretboard edge in one of those because I turned it a little sharp, but just barely. Again, this is a player graded instrument. It's not, you know, it's not anything crazy fancy. Let me try it this way. This works a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. That works a little bit better. Yeah, I dug in there just a hair. Whoops. I'm trying to really there we go. Might buff that out just. Yeah, the rounded edge works pretty good. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's not even really noticeable. So, we're good there. All right, let me get a micro mesh pad. I just want to buff that out just a touch so it doesn't appear there from when I put it together the way I want. Okay, I didn't put them back there right here. Oh, let's see. Let's look for this teal one. Anyway, so that should do it. Now it's a little less noticeable. Yeah, well, there you go, folks. Nothing's perfect. Just a slight little mark there. I don't want to redo this if I don't have to. I have a feeling when I oil it, that's all going to be not visually visible. Because what happens is the wood above is not the same color as the wood beneath because it's been aged, and of course the surface is not the same as the below, but it's right near the fret. I mean, you're not going to see it really. Not to mention there's like huge dings in this fretboard already where it's been dropped. Like, it's been dropped right there. Yeah, like this fret, this guitar has had a ton of love. So that's how. Yeah, it's much easier on this side. And of course, I'm not going to do up here past the, what is this, the 14th fret, because you don't really play up there where you're holding up against the fret that way. So, again, we're just going to round these fretboard edges, or these fret edges, just so they're not sharp. And this is much easier from this angle, which is what I probably should have done. And then do this side and that side. Anyway, yep. And now, yeah, much better. Much better. Oh my God. It's like night and day. Okay, so, well, cosmetic issues aside, again, I probably would have done it with a different angle. I'd never tried it from that angle, and you know, this is what it means to be an amateur luthier. Sometimes you got to just be careful because you dig into the fret and Cause a little bit of a scuff. Not my favorite. Embarrassing. I'm going to leave it on camera. Don't do what I did. Use this from the correct angle. You should take it and use the rounded edge and go from each side, not this side, because it's too easy to catch the fretboard. So don't do it. Again, I could take some sandpaper and sand that out. Yeah, maybe I should. Just for the sake of the video, let's do that. Yeah, there we go. And now, yeah, just get a more aggressive one, and yeah, now it's pretty much gone. Perfect. Now you can't even tell. Do a little bit on this side. Yep. Perfect. Yep. That's all I needed to do. Hide those scratches, folks. If you were doing a maple fretboard, you can't do that because this is an unfinished fretboard. If you have a finished fretboard, you cannot do that. So those are some other lessons you should learn. I need to go get another fresh paper towel because I need to use one that hasn't been used. Wait, is this clean? No, this is dirty. All right, let's get another one from the oil, and we'll oil it up. Let's oil her up, my guy. Let's do it. Okay, so here's the oil. So I like this Duesenberg fretboard lotion. It smells so good and it works so well. This is my preferred fretboard oil. It smells like lavender. It just smells amazing. Like if you want to oil a fretboard with like the highest quality, what I feel like is oil, this is the one I use. It's not cheap, but it's not that expensive either. It just is so good. It smells so good. It feels like and smells like someone gave a shit, excuse me, pardon my French, gave a lot of attention to the guitar. And that's what I feel like people should get. You know, when they get a guitar and they want to play, it should feel like someone cared. And that's really what I want to see. And, you know, if you look at it now, just wipe some of this oil off because I had it applied quite a bit. Get some of that there. Like, look at that dark wood. Just pop. It looks so good. All right, let's get the camera on here. We'll take a look. I'm probably in the way the whole time, but yeah. Nope, I don't want to get in front of the light, but you see how much shinier and nicer that fretboard looks. It just looks so much better. So yeah, that's exciting. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to adjust the truss rod. I've already gave it adjustment, just a hair. I want to say this is a 4/64. Is this the one I use? Let me see. This one looks too big. Nope, this is right. Yeah. I believe this is 4 millimeters. So I've already gave it a couple of turns. I think, do I want to, I'm going to give it one more turn because I gave it a couple, but I think it's going to need more because it was about 7 to 7.5. So I'm going to give it just a hair turn more. So I gave it about maybe 3/4 of a turn. Maybe 3/4 of a turn. That's probably about the amount of times I turn this. Every truss rod feels like it's different. Every guitar, you've kind of got to get a feel for what the truss rod is doing. Some move more than others, and that's what we're doing. So we're going to check and see what this looks like after we get this all strung up. So, I'm not going to tune it on camera, but I'll tune it and then we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. All right, folks, be back in a minute. All right, folks, we got this guitar tuned up. We've got it 6/64 off the low E, about 5/64 off the high E. Let's hear how it sounds. Sounds good to me. I mean, yeah. Sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy with the work. It's great. I mean, it's a good guitar, solid wood top, and you know, laminate back and sides. But for a cheaper, more affordable guitar, I mean, I don't think anyone would be upset by this. And now it's much more playable. You have to press less hard. I think that's the biggest takeaway here. It's just easier to play, and it sounds great. No buzzing on those frets after tightening the truss rod, so I think we're good to go. This one's ready to go back to its home, and we're all set. So hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll see you again next time on the next one.